So if you were a fan of water-based racing games such as Wave Race 64 or Riptide GP back in the day, then you may be wondering what worthy alternatives there are on the Switch. And that is a question that I can't rightly answer for you, but what I can answer is whether or not Race Boat Simulator 3D Stunt Racing Driving Ship Ocean Action Fly is worth your time or cash, the latest masterpiece from developer and publisher DEZVOLT Games. So pop those motion sickness pills, as there may be some rough waters ahead of us, and let's get started. So I figured we'd start this review with a little look at the eShop description for the game, as once again it features some rather dubious screenshots, but upon starting the game, rather surprisingly we get some reasonably detailed visuals as the camera pans in and out on our speedboat, though the frame rate is already a little choppy and our boat does appear to be sinking a little, perhaps an omen of what is yet to come. Taking a look at the description though, the game promises that Race Boat Simulator is the game with one of the best visuals. It is based on racing and the action takes place in the ocean, which is a promising start. It also goes on to say you can experience the sensation of sailing the ocean with your personal boat, and that if you like realistic games were to live an experience of another level, this is your game, and whatever the fuck that means, I really don't know, but there's a whole list of features that we'll check off at the end of this review. Getting into the game though, we get the option to race. No tournaments, versus mode or time trial mode, just race. And we also get some basic sound settings and an overview of the controls. Selecting race though takes us to the track menu, on which we get only a single track with no indication of its layout and can't even change the number of laps on it, and we must complete each track in turn to unlock the next one. Finally, we get to select our boat. The game has a variety of boats on offer, each more powerful than the last, with only minor differences between the four main hull varieties, and to unlock them we must earn diamonds from races. We can also upgrade the boats, improving their engine, control and magnet, as well as adding nitrous to them, which we'll get onto shortly. And finally we can paint them, and I had attempted to paint mine a lovely hot pink, but all I could find was this Venus pink colour, which I finished off with some lemon piping. Anyway, getting into the race we get a lovely little pan of the track ahead of the start of it before the announcer pipes in with
3, 2, 1, now.
And we're off. Or at least you'd expect we would be off. In actuality our boat takes a fucking lifetime to get going, while our opponents speed off ahead, weaving about like they're being driven like pissed up Brits on a speedboat tour in Benidorm. But we eventually get going, and right away the speed of the races are utterly underwhelming, and the low pace of them is only trumped by an even lower frame rate. Now the races in this one are as simple as it gets, no power-ups and no flashy set pieces, just 3 straight laps to complete, and if you finish in anything but first place you'll fail them and have to try again. As you tour your way around the track, and I use the term tour very lightly, you'll collect coins which translate to diamonds, and you're also rewarded 1,000, 2,000 and 3,000 diamonds respectively for coming in first, second or third place. But once you complete the race, you then move on to the next one and complete another 3 laps, and so on and so forth ad tedium. Now you may be thinking that the game doesn't actually look that bad, and you'd be right. The game doesn't look that bad, it has some decent visuals, and despite the shoddy frame rate, they actually tick the box with this one when it comes to the realistic graphics to a certain degree. Where things fall down though is in every other aspect of the game. To start with, whilst the controls themselves are not too bad and the handling of your boat is pretty decent, merely bumping into any of the races or the track walls or obstacles will send you spinning out of control. And on the subject of track walls, these are defined by the yellow arrows which are partially transparent and frequently overlap, making it near impossible to interpret the track and any of its turns ahead of you. Secondly, I mentioned that it takes a lifetime to get going from the start, and once you do get going, you do have a brake button, but there's very little need to use it. If however at any point you remove your finger from the accelerator, your boat will instantly come to a complete stop, and once again it'll take forever to get back up to speed. And so by the end of the 5th race, my fingertip had turned white and I had carpal tunnel syndrome coming on, and I had to continually switch fingers just to keep going. Now the final and most glaring issue with the game is definitely its AI, because rather than providing a challenging racing experience, these fuckwits are just a complete nuisance, and aside from the very first race, they serve as nothing more than obstructions. Many of the game's tracks feature tight hairpin turns and plenty of objects for you to navigate through, but anything other than a simple circular track and the AI pathing is completely fucked. They'll constantly weave back and forth, smashing into shit or get themselves stuck on walls or ramps, and every single track beyond the first one saw me lapping them multiple times, so there's absolutely no challenge to the game other than avoiding them, and you may as well just be racing alone against the clock. Now, throughout my time spent racing, I earned enough credits to unlock the second boat, which provided a bit of a speed boost but was wholly unneeded, and I also unlocked the NOS for one of them, which is a complete bag of dicks and a waste of diamonds, as it lasts about 3 seconds, gives you a 10 mph speed boost, and then takes half a lap to recharge. When it comes to the tracks, there's a reasonable amount of variety to them, with some of them featuring tight tunnels, wind turbines which twat you and send you flying with the propellers, and ramps which slow you to a crawl. But each track is repeated back to back with both a normal and mirrored version, and rather than there being 20 tracks as the eShop description states, there are in fact only 10 of them, and after completing the 10th you then loop back around to the first. So in reality, the game only contains 5 tracks. So I didn't have the patience nor the inclination to unlock any of the other boats, but to finish up this review, let's quickly check off each of those features. 4 different boats, racing style. Well, this one's a tick, but I'm not sure what racing style means. The player has several folders at his disposal. Again, no fucking clue what this one means either. 20 different routes available. Bullshit. In-game, the player competes with other AI-controlled boats. While the word competes here is clearly a typo and should have read collides. The goal is to reach the finish line first. This one is true, there's no doubt about that. Coins are placed on the routes which the player can collect. There are indeed coins and you can collect them, though there's no real need. Each boat will have specific coins. Well, the coins do come in different colours, but this doesn't seem to serve a purpose. Coins will be used to buy modifications for the chosen boat. Again, true, but pointless. On the routes there will be some bonuses, another bollocks statement, and finally, there will also be ramps that can be used as shortcuts. A final hurry bollock of a statement, as there are no shortcuts in the game, and the ramps only serve to slow you down or fuck you up if you hit them wrong. So yeah, more embellished eShop bullshit from the guys over at DEZVOLT Games, and I expected nothing less. The game itself is by no means the worst scam I've played, and unlike some of the others, it does actually feel finished to a certain degree. But as always, I do like to dig a little deeper into the games that these chumps release. And lo and behold, I identified the asset used as being a free Unity demo called Boat Attack, which they've lightly thrown a few objects into to create the tracks and a new UI, but very little else. So if you basically want to play a free version of this game, then head on over to the Google Play Store and download Boat Attack Jet Ski Racing. That though is pretty much everything I have to say about this one. Another sham, and another game which I paid for and played, so you don't have to. If you enjoyed this review though, be sure to drop a like to show your appreciation, and consider subscribing to the channel for more videos like this, as well as weekly deals and reviews of actual Nintendo Switch games. But for now, thanks once again for watching, take care of yourselves, and game on.